on the following day, which was December 13, 2020, he received the first and only complaint of the special senatorial election from Gongloe-Weh, that irregularities and fraud have been committed against her. The witness testified also to the tallying sheet and the declaration result of which, according to the witness, was signed by all of the representatives present, with the exception of plaintiff's agent, who had earlier walked out. This witness testified that he went to San Nicolas on the 24th of December upon the instruction of NEC's head office to complete the tallying of the ballots. We would like now to address the following issues and following issue raised and presented. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but we'll go to the reporter. I just for something. I'm begging. I'll go to the reporter. I'll go to the reporter. Okay. As to the complainant report of witnesses, there were two report witnesses. Causing on the 10th of February 2021, Mr. Frederick took the witness stand and answered to questions as follows. On the witness, we brought you here as a reporter witness on the 19th day of January 2021. Election magistrate pay were asked the question on the cross, and I'll repeat the question for you, and I quote, back to the conduct of the 2020 senatorial elections and the national referendum, that after the counting of the ballot papers for the referendum senatorial elections, that those sensitive materials for the two elections were placed in different ballot boxes. The witness answer was yes, they were placed in several ballot boxes. And we gave notice that we will bring an expert witness for this question. So our question to you is that, Mr. Witness, is it true that both the senatorial national referendum ballot papers were placed based on your experience? Can they be placed in one or two ballot boxes? The witness answered, the National Elections Commission conduct these elections on a guideline, and these guidelines are regulations of the National Election Commission. And if you read Article 12 of the polling and counting regulation of NEC, it states that these elections will be conducted in accordance with the approved guidelines of the National Election Commission, and only reasons for that is to ensure that the core value of the National Election Commission is respected or interpreted independence and professionalism as respected. If you read the guideline of the training manual prepared, approved by the Board of Commissioners of the National Election Commission, it states that after counting are done, both referendum, either presidential, representative, senatorial ballot papers are placed in one ballot box and sealed. The serial number of the sealed are recorded by an agent attending the elections. On the cross, Mr. Witness, you rely on specific provision of the Election Commission. You rely on a specific provision of election guidelines. You said that the ballot box, when counting, both the referendum and the senatorial elections are placed in the same ballot box or boxes. My question to you is that, are you aware that the counting or the ballot for senatorial elections for Nimba County and the counting of the ballot for the referendum in Nimba County were not done the same day and time? They wouldn't answer. I would then use this time to ask as to whether the training of all of the electoral staff and even down to NDR and the very manual they used to train, the magistrate used to train, it is in that manual, so that you, as you saying, as a lawyer of the Elections Commission, that what was used to train those guidelines that we are following are different. Are you going to be different from? Are you going to be different from that which, because the guidelines purely stated in the training manual plainly that the guidelines that I just told you about and proof. This is and this witness was discharged. The second witness. Or the next witness. The witness was also asked. The next witness. The witness also asked on the 27th of January 2020, Magistrate Leo Flomo were asked a question on the cross, and he stated that he invited political parties representatives at the court for the counting of the ballot and of ballot referendum on the 24th of December 2020. My question to you at that is that Mr. Flomo invited you, and the answer that he invited you and even had a handwriting document to say where you signed. So my question to you is that whether or not Mr. Flomo invited you, and if yes, whether that handwriting is your handwriting? The witness answer, no. I was not invited by Magistrate Flomo, as he said. He went further to say on the 24th of December 2020, when we received this information from their network, that there are some people who entered the NEC compound 2 a.m. overnight. It was his duty with other guys, and went there that morning to find out whether it was true, and that how he met with them, and where the house met with them in the house with some other people. I decided to take pictures. When I took the pictures, I was intimidated by him, Mr. Flomo, and mandated to delete the photos before I get out of the place. So we were in there from one point to another. After some hour, he came with a flying sheet, landline sheet, and all of those who in the place were forced to write their names, because they have to give an account on the NEC when they enter NEC compound, when they enter NEC fence, based on his instruction, as he said. So it was then because the hour I spent, and I was forced to delete the photos, and I decided to write my name and leave the place that what happened. On the cross, he asks, on what date did you say you were detained at NEC office in San Nicolas? He answered, on the 24th day of December 2020, before the elections or after the elections? The witness answered, after the elections. The witness, Mr. Witness, what led to your detention at NEC office in Sanipoli by the Liberia National Police? The witness answered, it is because of the pictures that I took in the warehouse where the magistrate Flomo was in. And on the cross, this witness was further asked, what was the demand for deleting the photos you took? The witness answered, the reason best known to the magistrate himself. The witness, well, were you authorized? Were you authorized? Were you not authorized? Mr. Whitney, were you not authorized to take photo in the warehouse? He further answered and said, no, it was due to the situation on the ground that led me to do so. And this witness was discharged from the witness stand. We just concluded the report of witnesses. Who go on, will now move to the issues and discussion. All of the testimonies were summarized. All of the testimonies were summarized. They are all in the minutes. We now have taken all of the testimonies. They are just summarized. So you have the minutes. All the parties have the minutes. So issues and discussion. As to the first issue, whether or not the complainant in these proceedings presented evidence in substantiation of allegation of election irregularities and suspected fraud that would alter the outcome of the election December 8, 2020, as announced by the National Election Commission. This investigation says one who makes an allegation as in keeping with our law has the burden to prove or burden of proof. Chapter 25, 1 LCR, section 25.6 provides as follows. In general, the best evidence which the case emits of must always be produced. That to say, no evidence is sufficient, which supposes the existence of best evidence. In an election complaint, the complainant has the right to produce as many evidence in support his or her allegation. Such evidence must tend to establish the fraud alleged or the irregularities of the complaint. We would like to be clear here that the evidence adduced by the complainant here was not substantive and did not establish that our findings from these investigations are sufficient to alter the outcome of the election for rerun, recount, or referendum. And the case referenced the case Charles Bromskin versus Election Commission 2017. Issue number 2. As to the second issue, whether or not the complainant filed any complaint and the evidence adduced by the complaining party established any legal basis or ground for recount or rerun in Nimba County. Answering the second issue, which states whether or not the complainant the complaint filed by the complainant and evidence adduced by the complaining party establish any legal basis or ground for rerun recount. The hearing says in a negative, no. Discussions. That the testimony and evidence adduced by the complaining counsel did not prove fraud and any basis for rerun or recount to constitute recount. According to the expert witnesses, the election law of Liberia must be proof of the following. Rerun. That while the elections were to be held, there was a particular event that made it impossible for elections to be held. That there was proven massive fraud irregularities during the conduct of elections. And this proven massive fraud was widespread throughout the length and breadth of the electoral constituency, and the elections were not fully held. To just name a few. Recount. There were irregularities in the counting. And the results were misinterpreted to the disadvantage of another party. That some of the ballots were not counted, and that some of the ballots were wrongfully discarded, invalidated, etc. Issue 3. Whether or not the Election Commission is under a duty to suspend the tallying process because an agent representing one of the parties in the election abandoned his or her representation at the tallying center. Addressing the third issue, which states whether or not the party whose representation at the counting ballot failed to object to the results was signed and satisfy the election results can question the same results of the election. The answer is in negative, no. Discussion. The party, the complainant, is a stop, joint, prohibited, joined by the reasoning of law to question the results of an election. He or she satisfied and rectified. Election laws of Liberia is very clear on certification of elections result after the counting of the ballots at a polling station. See the new election law of Liberia, chapter 4, section 4.4, section 4, chapter 4, section 4.14.14. What or not? Whether or not the tallying results that were satisfied by all of the parties present in the lower Nimba County can be subject of query, or a party whose representation failed to file a complaint from any of the 283 polling centers, and also signed and ratified the consolidated tally sheets, the tally results. Also answering the fourth question, which states tallying process, because an agent representing one of the parties in the election abandoned his or her representation at the tallying. The hearing answer is no. It is a practice discussion. It is a practice in the elections law of Liberia that during the election, NEC allows for the presence of parties. And when the tallying is ongoing, the party that refuses to be present for his or her own reasons or reason, who intentionally abandoned the tallying process and walked away, the NEC is not required under any law to suspend the tallying process because of that willful and unlawful act of the representative. Whether or not, issue 5, complainant established proof that ballot boxes were brought at the lower Nimba tally center, seals were broken. In answering this issue, in answering this question, which reads, whether or not the complainant established proof that ballot boxes that were brought at the upper Nimba tallying center, seals were broken. This hearing answers in the negative. discussions. Throughout the hearing, there's no evidence adduced by the complainant that seals were broken, and that those broken seals were the result of the fraudulent process of the disadvantage of the complainant in the elections in Nimba County. While on the direct, the complainant, Mr. Armstrong testified that during the tallying process in Nimba County, 12 ballot boxes arrived with broken seals. However, neither of those witnesses could identify any of the ballot boxes or seal numbers that were broken. While on the cross, witness Gongloe was asked below, Madam Witness, did you testify to several pictures on the basic testimony that you gave regarding those pictures, that these ballot boxes contained in these pictures do not carry any seal? Answer. Answer no. No. Madam Witness, let me know that these photos that I have in my hand here, well, if you listen to my testimony, complainant said that they observed on arrival that also observed some of the ballot boxes had broken seal. Although the complainant continuously mentioned that ballot boxes arrived with broken seals, the complainant could not provide a single ballot box number or the seal number that specifically arrived with a broken seal. Thus, the mere allegation of broken ballot boxes arriving with broken seals does not amount to proof. The complainant was found guilty to have provided specific ballot box numbers along with the sealed numbers that were broken. Instead, the complainant provided photos of ballot boxes that did not depict any evidence of seals being tampered. Wherefore, in view of the foregoing, the complainant, Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh's complaint is hereby denied.
Thank you.
Dismissed. The election result as declared in December 16 by the Election Commission.
Thank you.
What's your disappointment? Is there a disappointment?
What do you think of the result? What's the next step?
Well, I'm referring to my lawyers.
Expect this at this level.
You just listening to her. She said that she referred to her lawyer. It's okay. And
How do you see the pronouncement?
She said she referring to her lawyer.
So you as a lawyer now here, what do you have to say concerning?
Listen. That was a complete misrepresentation of the facts in the case. And that's why we have remedies afforded us. And that's why we make use of the remedy. Thank you.
I have a man. They just announced an appeal to the Board of Commission.
I'm not happy on grounds that this is a complete waste of time. On grounds that this matter will have been here in 2 weeks. The police was found in 13 on the 12th of January. On the 14th of January, the complaint will have been heard. Madam Weh asked for appeal to Monrovia on grounds that Nimba was not safe. How can you win an election in Nimba? You're supposed to be represented for 9 years, and on the first day you file a complaint and say Nimba is not safe. I have to tell you, this was just intended for delay. They brought a lot of delay process. It took us from the 13th of December. Today is the 22nd of February. It's a waste of time.
Are you frightening concerning the case now being transferred to the Board of Convention?
I'm prepared for ECOWAS court, not even the Supreme Court. Numbers will never lie. He even brought, if Christ is looking at us, if Jesus was to speak now, the cloud opening, he will condemn them because you know they don't have issues. Their intention is to delay, and that's why when we are certificated in the legislature, we have to look at the national election law. Because people are using the law to delay people and fight back when they are defeated in election. And I think those are one of the issues that we'll be looking at.
Finland has continued to open on the issue of fraud and irregularities in the market. If you have won this election, what do you...
I won the election, not if I won the election. I won this election.
It's going to the Board of Commission.
If the complainant say 10 ballot boxes seal was broken, your pool worker took the seal number when they were sealing them in the tally room. Bring the number, the serial number of that seal that was broken, nothing. All the complainant pray to a sentiment and cry all at once. But we understand our sister.
You have always spoken about unity. Are you ready now to unite with your sister?
As soon as the case ends, and trust me, I will do all good and nothing. Until she can accept the facts and the reality and wake up that she was defeated on December 8th for the third time. I'm ready for anyone.
Some of your supporters might like to send out more grief. Will you mind talking to your supporters?
We think all of our supporters should remain calm. Nimba is one Nimba. Those who voted for me and those who didn't vote for me are all my people. And so, as a senator-elect of Nimba, and soon to be senator of Nimba, I'm the leader of the Nimba people, whether you voted for me or not.
And your party coming.
And so I want all of you to listen to me, keep calm, keep the content quiet.
Many are saying because you are with Honorable Prince Johnson, that's the reason why you have that strong foundation always pop up because you were the king of the county.
So everybody can think the way they want to think. If you want to prefer Prince Johnson, he's here too. Why can't they prefer Prince Johnson? Go and prefer you think the way of winning election and Prince Johnson with the election commission and that's the way. Be friends with Johnson and let him make it.
Thank you.